Okay. Meanwhile, they connect our remote connection from Colombia. I will present again. Well, Claudia was already this morning presenting about ReFi Sicilia. Antonio, great to see you here. Also, ReFi Sicilia, ReFi Med, so many things. Too much. Karma. Andrea, that he will stay in this and in the next panel as well. So here is with the head of Animal Social Club, and then we'll be with the head of Veracura and Alejandra Verde, sorry, from Rifai PACA, right? So friends.
That's right.
Okay. So I would like to give you the word. Who wants to start? Maybe we want to explain first what ReFi means to the public here. It will be a good starting point, and then we can switch to other ideas, topics, also biodiversity, bioregional hubs, and so on. So
yeah, I'll just start because that was a great presentation just now. I'm mentioning KlimaDAO, which was the kind of the breakout, like success and failure of like the birth of regenerative finance. And if we all remember DeFi summer back in 2020, 2021 with like all the yield farms and the yams. Do we remember that period? Was anybody yield farming yams? Sushi swap? So anyways, the DeFi summer was like a golden year, whatever. The next year was ReFi spring. And the idea of how can we use DeFi to regenerate ecosystems, because regenerative finance has been around for a very long time as like a theory, and it could be as simple as having like a worker cooperative, and that could be regenerative finance. But with ReFi and a blockchain context, it became how like carbon credits as the original idea, right? And Regen Network, which is its own layer 1 blockchain, has been in development since 2017. So regenerative finance has existed. ReFi, the meme, is basically a 2021 thing. And ReFi DAO was formed, and there was a lot of public good funding available for it then. And then, as mentioned before, Gitcoin is also like tightening up. So we need to be thinking about more funding ideas, and Octant is here, and they've been, they're pushing the innovation as well. So ReFi 2.0 is happening, and so it's exciting to see all this like this activity, and of course, like the real work on the ground is hard work, but it is worth it, and it also we need to value that and reward that.
Thank you. Maybe we are talking about ReFi, so I think we can have also a different perspective from a person that comes from different region. I mean, well, same region actually, Europe, but you're originally from? Yes. So Alejandra, if you want to add what means, in your opinion, like regenerative finance today, and how you see this from your perspective, because I think Mexico, Latin America is, I love this continent. We have been traveling all around, and you have like a lot of connection with land, Pachamama, all the stuff, right? From a very historical and cultural point of view. So, but now you are doing this in France, right? In terms of, so what's your stance on this? I mean, what you can share with us from your perspective?
Okay, so first I will start elaborating on what Antonio said, like why we're talking about regenerative finance, why regeneration is needed. And as we are all aware, there is climate problems, environmental problems, social issues, mental health issues. So the world is upside down. And the reason for that, well, there are many reasons, but the actual system is not serving us as it should, the best way. The model is extractive in all the ways. It's extracting and extracting natural resources until they are depleted. It's extracting people's energy, people's work, people's mental health. So that's why we need to change this model and change it in a way that is making the nature and the people thrive. So we need to change things, and fortunately now we have blockchain, which allows us to imprint on any crypto that we develop the values that we think should be valued, if it's redundant. So it's not only profit, like financial profit, but it's what good are we bringing to communities? What good are we bringing to biodiversity and to public goods in general? Things that are not valued currently with fiat money. So this is also making us to think of the connection between humans, between persons. How do we work with each other? How do we organize? How do we collaborate? The connection between ourselves also, because that's one of the things that bring the mental health problems, the isolation, and the overconsumption of things, that we are bombarded by marketing, that we need to buy things that no one really needs. And that makes us isolated, willing to be trendy or willing to have whatever things we don't need instead of just socializing. And also the disconnection between people and nature. So with ReFi, we're trying to rebuild this triple connection inside us, between us, and with nature, and using the tools and the technology that allows us to build this different system.
Amazing. Sorry. Amazing. Thank you, Alejandra. And well, let's stay in the same continent, but change a little bit of topic, because as let me put here, maybe people can see me. As you see, is Web3 power on environment. So it's not only about regenerative finance. Another very important topic that we want to discuss today is biodiversity, right? So we have Andrea from Animal Social Club and Luca from Inhbait that is connected right now from his amazing lands in Colombia. So I will give the stage to Luca, that I really say thank you to him to be here with us today. If you want to share what's Inhbait, what they see, why they think is important biodiversity, and what it means with biocultural hubs, and yeah, can tell us a bit more what's going on in Colombia and Latin America, and on the biodiversity specific topic. As last year it was very important gathering in Cali, COP16, that we're discussing about this. We were there together with Animal Social Club and Inhbait. So thank you, Luca, to be here. Let's see if we can hear you well. I think you can hear, right?
Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. So I don't hear you very well, but I guess I can talk, right?
Sure, yes.
Okay. So good morning. Thank you to everyone. I don't see anyone, but I'm calling from Colombia. My name is Luca. I'm the founder of Inhbait. Inhbait is both a company and a foundation based in Colombia. We started our work here 4 years ago in La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. Now I can see the room. And I'm a farmer, an ecological restorer, and we are all social entrepreneurs that have built this new company with a vision to create a global corridor. So our vision is to be able to bridge different nodes along the living networks, a corridor of physical ecological corridors that brings biodiversity and social innovation into rural communities. So we do that through the creation of what we call biocultural hubs, which are lands that are protected permanently under the right of nature and stewarded by all of us that buy a membership through the NFT we have been creating. So how does the NFT works? The NFT of Inhbait, which is called the Stewardship NFT, in italiano un NFT di custodia, diciamo. The custody or stewardship is the big word for us, is the new economy, where this contract, which is encrypted both in the code and the IPFS of the NFT, provides some specific rights and benefits to people that hold it. The most important is that people that buy the NFT get legal recognition as stewards of nature and becomes guarantor of the right of nature on a specific lands. So those lands are protected forever. It's really a new conservation model based in stewardship that we are creating. It's a legal innovation. but also the membership provides utility in terms of educational contents, overnight stays. You can travel to those places, you can stay there, experience a new way of relating to land, learning the deepest practice of inhabiting a stewardship land. So we want people to actually pilgrimage, to move across those hubs. Also, the NFT has encrypted the legal frameworks. So all the legal instruments that provide protection to lands. It also encrypts the artworks and other instruments that enable the protection of land. So we have this year launched about 2 months ago for a first pilot project in La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, in this area of North Colombia, the Caribbean area of Colombia, one of the most biodiverse areas in the world, where we are trying to tokenize land. And the money which is fundraised, which is collected through the sale of NFT, it's used for 4 main activities. First of all, we buy the land and we protect it independently. Secondly, we develop the hub. So we create basic infrastructure to enable land stewards to steward the land and people like you to travel to those places. Third, we run 3 years restoration program, which is the expertise of Inhbait. So we are restoring those lands which are degraded into their full functionality. And then a small part of the NFT fundraise, it's used to improve the model, to improve the NFT, to create a new product which has more benefits and can scale the project. So yeah, this is Inhbait. I'm like to have some questions for you if you want to know more about the project.
Thank you, Luca. That was great from you. Thank you to be here. Listen, very, very early in Colombia, so thank you to wake up early for us. And just to stay on the topic of biodiversity, and maybe we can explain also the link between Italy, Colombia, and so on. I would like to ask to Andrea from Animal Social Club, why is that kind of biodiversity topic matters for us in Italy, in Europe, in the world, I would say, so much, and why Animal Social Club? Like, what's about Animal Social Club, and what's the mission, and how we think that we can do that? Of course, leveraging Web3 tech, AI, all kind of new technology breakthroughs, but also from a social point of view, right? That's why Animal Social Club. So please, Andrea, tell us.
Thank you, Ale, and thank you, Urbe, for hosting us today. I start with a coming out. I mean, I'm business and marketing guy with a do it yourself attitude, and I'm not a tech guy. So 4 years ago, I said, okay, crypto is equal money. Let's try to grab some of them and bring to our not-for-profit organization. From that day, I started my rabbit hole journey, and I met, of course, Urbe and then Alessandro, luckily. And this was for Veracura a new starting point, because Veracura was born in 2020 as a new model to do business for good, with the idea of business and marketing activism. So Veracura is a not-for-profit holding company doing businesses in order to get the money we need to develop independent social and environmental projects. The environmental project is called Animal Social Club. I must tell you a bit of a story about Animal Social Club, because from 2010 to 2014 was my electronic music club. My parents and I actually founded the club. It was quite prominent. A lot of people per night, 30 hours non-stop party. We had party with Berghain, Tresor, Fabric, and clubs also in Colombia. That's why I felt in love with Colombia, actually. In 2021, we said, okay, we have to start an environmental project with Veracura, not just about environmental conservation, but about, of course, biodiversity and, of course, animal rights. That's why we said, okay, we have a brand, that's Animal Social Club. So we got back the brand with a clear mission that was the best biodiversity club and a clear tagline, Oasis and Parties. So from my point of view, that time, Web3 was actually money, easy, of course, not so easy, but different kind of fundraising stream. And now we spent this year renewing all the governance of Veracura to present the phase 2 of Veracura. That's the one we hope that is able to be presented publicly, because it's the business to consumer step. We are launching a new headquarter, we hope within the end of the year, because Veracura is a business to consumer organization at the end of the day, and Animal Social Club want to make parties a good tool to invest on biodiversity. But Web3 and AI will be for sure our fundamentals tech tools to develop our journey. And that's why actually we met with Luca, because we come from marketing and we are not on field actually. We don't come from cooperation, from conservation, but we came from marketing. So our idea was, okay, we match with people around doing the good, and we just team with them to try to fundraise more money also with cryptos in order to joint venture locally and globally. So this is actually the short story of Veracura, Animal Social Club, and why we luckily met with Luca in Colombia, and we are trying to develop 3 oases with them there, actually.
Thank you, Andrea. That's amazing, inspiring. I mean, of course, we are... Of course, as you see, well, maybe connect... I don't know who was here this morning, but we were talking about digital to physical, physical to digital, global to local, local to global. I think here is similar, right? I mean, I really see this kind of global approach also when it comes to regenerative finance, biodiversity, and so on, because at the end of the game, at the end of the day, everything is connected somehow, right? So I believe that a very interesting topic that maybe Claudia can explain to us is on, I mean, with ReFi. I don't want to say some bullshit, but ReFi DAO, within ReFi DAO movement, you were discussing about these bioregional hubs, right? So could you explain us a little bit better what do you mean with a bioregional hub? Why that matters, and what's the connection with the let's say global approach that we were discussing this morning and now today, this afternoon? Sorry, thank you.
Well, I think the connections is the people. I mean, we all live in these different hubs, and we all have and face the same challenges, the same issue. And like to take the example of Sicily, just to give you some numbers, because we work to regenerate agriculture, I mean, in the land. I was reading recently that like almost 20% of all the farms in Italy are actually located in Sicily. Like, and it's incredible how much of the agricultural products from the whole country are actually coming from Sicily, and how much people are employed in this sector in Sicily. Like, it's over 60% of the people are employed in this sector. And then if you look then a little bit deeper into the number, you see that all of these people, they are employed in the same sector, but they're not really connected. So they do all different things. They just look at their own garden, let's say, and say, okay, what can I do in my land? Then I don't care what is happening somewhere else. While at the same time, we should actually work really together. And this is why I was talking before about regeneration, not just of the land, but also of the people and our mindset. And this is the idea why we're connecting different nodes. I was showing you before this map where we're planting trees. You see the majority of trees planted in the place where we are, because this is where we're most active in person, physically. But that's why we're also expanding. We're asking people to showcase that it can be done, it can be replicated everywhere in Sicily, and not only in Sicily, but in the whole Mediterranean region. That's why, for example, we have the example of South France. It can be the same example of Spain, for example. It can be Greece, it can be the North African countries, because we come all from the same place. The same challenges that we face. So I don't know if you want to add something on that.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if you notice, like ReFi is spelled a little differently than ReFi, regenerative finance. And that's because when, first starting to talk about this in 2021, 2022, 23, and I'm explaining to people ReFi. And so they're interpreting, I'm saying one thing, they are interpreting it as a totally another thing. And so if I say regenerative finance and I have this idea in my head and you hear it as ReFi, rifare, you say, yeah, that's a great idea. We're not even. And so what's cool is that this is an intuitive thing. And we have to make it culturally relevant. And with, if it's Free Palestine or planting a tree, it's the same thing. And so we have to combine all of the work that we're doing, because as you said, 20% of the farms in Sicily, and there's no next generation. And these farms are getting abandoned. The land is still clear cut, and when it rains, the soil erodes, and then in the summer it's dry and there's no rivers. And so we have to be managing this liquidity very intelligently. And so this is the coordination tools that we can be using so that we build a regenerative culture of people who are connected and care for the land, with the financial system that actually allows for the funds to flow cooperatively between these projects. And same thing, what we're doing with ReFi Mediterranean is we've got these local nodes. There is a global network. How do we support each other? Because if I'm planting an olive tree in Sicily or planting an olive tree in the south of France, it's actually the same thing. And so we now have a way to create interoperable regional economies that reflect the ecological level. And then we can build a governance layer around that. So our governance layer in Sicily is nested within the governance layer in Italy, which is nested within the Mediterranean governance layer. And so we've ReFi Mediterranean, as a collection of about 12 different projects, including Akasha Hub was a participant in one of our previous QF rounds. We're able to have the resources to develop these local nodes to integrate both the technology with the culture. And so we have this upcoming Gitcoin round where we're wanting to do a matching round to support the local node development while we're doing the Sylvie tree planting, while we're establishing these local commitment pools, and basically bringing more adoption, because the regenerative economy is the economy. That is the biggest economy. That's the most potential. And so getting people to think about where they're putting their funds and allocating capital, this is the economy that we really need to be building on chain. And so it's we're finally at the product market bioregional fit where the action that's happening on the ground is reflecting the activity that's happening on chain. So even like Base was like, oh, we're going to create a network state L2. They just said, or what, I don't know, did somebody watch the network state conference recently at Token? Anyways, Base is talking about creating their own network state. And so why not have a bioregion, the Mediterranean, as a networked eco-state, for example. And so this is where things get interesting and exciting, is we're not talking about seceding, we're talking about uniting. And so if Sicily wants to exit the EU, which I call Sexit, but in fact, we are integrating into the Mediterranean Union, and the whole planet is made up of bioregions. And so we have an end goal. We have a whole planetary regeneration strategy, which we can implement at the bioregional level with all the other bioregions in unison. So
thank you. I think amazing. So talking about connections, as we are all connected, Luca from Colombia wants to say something. So I will give him the stage. Maybe you can see us again. You can see the guys. They're looking at you.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So no, it's very interesting the talks you're having, and I would say I think we need to even go beyond what we call regenerative finance or economies, and really thinking about stewardship economies, because eventually the biggest crisis we are facing today, from biodiversity loss, from loss of cultural heritage, connect to land, it's really something that cannot be solved with material practices like planting trees or solar panels. We need to have a collective shift in the way we relate to land, we value land, we care for land. Careship or stewardship is really the word of the future economies. So we need somehow that all those beautiful mechanisms of ReFi enable people to create a sense of responsibility, of physical offline responsibility in the real world, connect back to the land. So I'm thinking, for example, you're talking about farmers, and I'm also a farmer. I'm a small-scale farmers. There is a movement now in France, mainly, sometime a bit in Italy, in Quebec, in US, of micro farms that are 4,000 to 6,000 square meters, very small, human scale, and that can produce 100, 200, $300,000 a year, can sustain families, and they are able to do it without petrol, without big mechanization, and they all work with CSA. So they all work removing intermediaries directly to the people. So the people are involved into the economies of those farms. Otherwise, it would be impossible. So we need to get involved into the commons. The commons is the future of economies. And I really hope all those ReFi tools brings people more back to the lands, more into the action itself, into the responsibility of putting their hands into the soil and connected to farmers and community, and a bit less into the offline, because that's the risk. The energy is limited. Either it goes in one direction or the other. And I think if we want to make it happen, it needs to go more into the real action. But thank you for all of you. Hopefully, Alessandro, please bridge me to all the speakers after. And thank you, Veracruz Anima Social Club, to give me the opportunity to talk today.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you to be with us. Thank you to connect from Colombia. I mean, you are playing on the same light motif as we saw in the last talks. I mean, from digital to physical again, right? So let's materialize things. And starting from Web3, great, but then we need to put in practice in concrete terms on the ground, I will say, literally. So I think we are going to the end of this panel. I don't know if you have any specific topic would you like to add. If not, yeah, Andrea. And after that, we open for a couple of questions if they have, and then we go.
Yeah, no, I just forgot to answer to one of your questions. Why biodiversity and why ReFi? Actually, because there is no healthy people on an unhealthy planet. So the more the biodiversity, the healthier the people on the planet. That's the point. And as Luca said, and also my colleagues say, there is only one economy. That's the regenerative one. So that's why we are trying with Animal Social Club and Veracruz to onboard as much people as possible on new way to apply this mentality. That's quite difficult. As you say, there is a storytelling problem that most of the people do not understand what you say if it's new or too difficult. And with Animal Social Club, about biodiversity and about Web3, we are trying to onboard people with parties and with that kind of mentality to do something that maybe they do not understand, but they actually use because of the parties, thanks to the party.
And I wanted to know, when is the next party?
Tonight, maybe?
Soon. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm from here. Hi, guys. If anybody has some question, I think one here. Okay, one moment.
My question is to the founder of ReFi. You guys, do you guys receive stable funding?
Stable?
Yeah, because I feel like this project is not going to survive without stable funding.
So this is a great tie-in to what I'll be talking about later today on the public goods funding panel, is that we have basically a LinkedIn for our project that shows the work that we've done, the funding that we've received. And I mean, we started the first, I think was a few $100 in stable coins from like a Gitcoin round back in 2023. And that allowed us to host our first like get together, ReFi week. And we were able to get, I don't know, maybe about 15, 20 people to come down to help us do a big tree plantation. Liminal Village was there. Roberto came down, who is the original, the ReFi mayor. And so this is just like one of these things where you get the community together, it starts to become real, and then you go to the next stage, right? Because we can only get as much funding as we can collectively manage as a group through our abilities. And so there is a critical period from like $1,000 to $10,000 where, of course, it's not going to be profitable. But once you get to that stage where you've got enough operational capacity, like we have a greenhouse now that we built with grant funding from Ma Earth and another Gitcoin round. So we just keep on building up capacity, and that creates more infrastructure, generates revenue. And it's like we evolved from like single cell organisms. And so an economy and a circle of trust evolves in a similar way.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add something that it has to become self-sustainable and self-sufficient in the long term, because a lot of projects you just ask and move from grant to grant to grant to grant, and then it's a never-ending chain. But then at the end of the day, if the place works by itself, if we have plants that grow, they don't need people. If we can generate revenues inside the greenhouse, if we can exchange goods, times, and knowledge, who needs funds at the end? A little bit.
I will say is that, okay, so there's a lot of different things happening in AI, and like there won't be any more jobs. So we are doing syntropic agroforestry development, which the key is human interaction. The key is stewardship. And so there's plenty of work to do. It's just, are we doing it in a meaningful way? Are we doing it in a collective, collaborative way? Because we can get paid in olive oil, which is like a type of money. But of course, the olive oil, as good as it gets, it's best shared.
It funds that even if I get in exchange some olive oil for the time that I spend, it's fine for me because I'm accepting this.
We're actually paying her in moringa trees.
All right, guys. I don't know if anybody has any other question. Yes? Okay.
Us as a student who are in the city, but with interest in Web3 and also with a care about land, what do you think, in your opinion, we can do now in our situation? Because we're growing up and we're going to continue with this kind of projects also. So what do you think is the best point of start?
Are you in Rome?
Yes.
Okay, great. You're our new ReFi Rome lead. Congratulations, you're hired.
You get paid in moringa trees, so just so you know. No, but
yeah, I mean, this is the issue: is our ability to build capacity, right? And so we have the next generation needs the training, needs the resources. We need to be putting funding and HR into this stuff, and it would be amazing to have a ReFi Rome hub. And what we can do, ReFi is just like Regen is a brand, right? What matters is connecting the community, doing the ground-based projects, and it would be amazing to catalyze the community, plant some trees together, and start doing the thing.
What's your olive oil capacity this year?
This is going to be a big year. We're going to have, actually, when I get back to Sicily tomorrow, the olive harvest begins. And so we need to be using olive oil as a leverage mechanism to bring funding back into these communities and economy, Mediterranean, as well as like exporting and like made in Italy, grown in Italy, regenerated in Italy. I know Francesca is really passionate about that.
Maybe export it to the Commons Hub.
So you will be the transporter. Wait, are you guys renting a car?
No, flight.
Okay. Maybe we can
later, but maybe shipment. But
okay, we can get a ReFi
of 100 milliliters.
This sounds like a great Farcaster mini app.
So yeah, one question It's basically related to the Colombian friend that was explaining about the organizations.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, okay, I know, but it's related to what he said, the question. It's basically about the French and the Quebec and all the farmers that are organizing themselves and is very successful. Why would these organizations that are already very successful in their local surroundings, why would ReFi needs to join them as like an organization? What is the added value for these already existing organizations?
Anybody want to take a shot at that? Okay, so why do we even need blockchain, right? Like that's what we're asking.
Yeah.
Why do we need blockchain? Well, the best thing is to show the benefits, right? We want to show that by using these tools, right? Of course, CSAs exist. Regenerative economic principles do exist. The community there in France, or in French Quebec in Canada, probably has a very strong cultural identity. They've got a lot of trust built up in their network. That is the key. That's the key to success. However, we live in a degenerative financial system, right? The fiat money, the fossil fuels, the over-mechanization, for example, John Deere, where if you don't pay your subscription, they shut down your tractor, GMO seeds, Cargill, like whatever, you name it, we still live within that financial system. And so we need to go to where the communities are already existing, onboard them, show them the potential, because maybe they can be potentially, I don't know the situation in Quebec, but I know our local situation. I know many situations around the world where farmers, not even say farmers, because everybody should in some way be involved in their food production. And so can regenerative finance make it easier for people to get into, especially the younger generation, to kind of hand to the next generation? Because right now, in rural Sicily, where I live on a farm, an olive grove, there is the landlord is 94 years old, and his children don't want to be managing it, and of course he won't sell. And so we've got to wait. We're in this transition period where the real estate market is totally overvalued. There's so many issues with the broader economic system, and why use ReFi is because this is the future. This is what the next generation is inheriting. And we need to have these intelligent tools so that we can enact those local, hyper local CSA, right? But how do you transport trust between communities? This is a really interesting problem. And one of the tools that we have been using, which we haven't talked so much about on stage, is this idea of commitment pooling. And so how do we exchange and trade without needing so much fiat cash? And instead, we can be creating digital tokens that represent our relationships and our commitments in a nested pool. I don't know if that's too technical, but...
It's okay. Guys, thank you so much. Please.
No, I think Matteo had a question, though. One last question from Matteo. He's already standing up. You got to give him the mic. Oh.
Okay, later. Okay, sure. Okay.
Just a final remark and a bit of answering the question about how people in cities can start getting involved. And just a suggestion for everyone. Get closer to nature. That's the first step. Go more often to nature, especially if you live in a city. It's sometimes hard. Take your shoes off. Put your feet on the ground. It will help you release stress. It's not woo, it's science. And also you can check out the documentary. I don't remember if it's grounding or earthing, but it talks about that. Kiss the ground. Yes, that one. So the first step is get closer to nature, bring people closer to nature, and you will get inspired by nature how to be with it.
Thank you, 100%. Thank you, guys.